Or is it okay like this? Check, check, check. Hello, hello, hello. Or is it okay like this? Check, check, check. Hello, hello, hello. Dun 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 dun.
Contrary to the common Iranian filmmakers who pick out in their movies the Iranian government and jurisdiction, as well as social problems as central themes, and so gaining recognition in European and American film festivals, Andy Digger, the Swiss-Iranian screenwriter, photographer and filmmaker, who spent more than half of his life in Europe and knowing intensively the negative and positive sides of both social systems, is examining the European society carefully and with keen eye.
My name is Andy Digger, and I am a Swiss-Iranian screenwriter, photographer, and filmmaker. The title of my film today is Think Twice, and it can be assumed that I will make myself unpopular with some. However, it is in no way my intention to offend any group, person, or creed, or to hurt their feelings and beliefs. This film is based on research, facts, and already published documents, most of which were unknown to you until now. Your outlook on life and perspective will change fundamentally afterwards. Basically, many adherents of heroes, human figure or country, don't have detailed knowledge about their heroes, their true life, and their past. People are always looking for myths and idols. They do not want to admit that their idols are not what they represent and what people want to see. Today you will experience what connections, or in other words, what similarities and parallels exist between the slave trade, neutral Switzerland, and the creation of some Swiss banks, Che Guevara with Irish roots and multimillionaire Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat, or Adolf Hitler and the Iranian government leader Ayatollah Khomeini with Indian roots, and Ayatollah Khamenei with Iraqi roots, as well as Napoleon with Turkish President Erdogan. I did not choose these topics by chance, but I was always involuntarily, directly or indirectly confronted with these topics and sometimes had extremely bitter experiences. Let's start with Ruhollah Mousavi, Ruhollah Khomeini, or more precisely known as Ayatollah Khomeini, the Iranian Shiite religious leader and politician from 1979 to 1989. After the fall of the Shah, he came from exile to Iran with his own personal Islamic fundamentalist attitudes toward the West and other faiths interpreted only by himself, especially towards Judaism and Israel, in the name of Iran and the Iranian population. He claimed that he was an Iranian and Sayyid, that means a verifiable descendant of the Prophet Muhammad 7 generations back. According to his track record, which is undisputed, here are some of his known ideas. The term Great Satan for the USA, his anti-Israeli and anti-Jewish remarks such as eradication of Israel from the map, the goal of creating a new world according to his ideology and worldview, his anti-capitalist and anti-imperialist approach, execution of several thousand Iranian intellectuals and opponents of the regime, support for terrorist groups such as Hezbollah and Hamas in Lebanon, responsibility for the war Khomeini himself started with Iraq, using children as soldiers, and consequently for the deaths of more than 1 million people, including minors, in the war between Iran and Iraq. Responsibility for several terrorist attacks on Iranian regime opponents, U.S. targets, and Israeli as well as international Jewish targets. As a child and teenager, unfortunately, I had to experience this period firsthand in Iran and suffer from it because Khomeini's ideas had influenced the entire educational system, society, culture, and domestic and foreign politics, and this negatively affected my whole existence and everyday life. Research into unspoken secrets of Ayatollah Khomeini and his past was taboo and was not even possible at the time when there was no internet to discover his dark side. In today's information age, thanks to the internet we know, Ayatollah Khomeini was originally not Iranian but Indian, and neither Muslim nor Sayyid, in other words, no descendant of the Prophet Muhammad. His original paternal name was Hindi, which means Indian. Let's have a look at the history of several generations of the Khomeini family. The Imperial Bank of Persia was the third largest economic investment of the British, along with the Anglo-Persian Oil Company, or APOC, founded in 1909, and the Indo-European Telegraph Company, founded in 1868 by the British Siemens Company, a Siemens subsidiary whose telegraph lines ran through Iran. After losing its function as Iranian National Bank, it was renamed British Bank of Middle East, or BBME. In 1959, BBME was acquired by HSBC. The bank had already discontinued its business activities in Iran for some time. After the Iranian Revolution in 1979, the bank became famous once again for the fact that Khomeini's great-grandfather, Jajal, a Hindu, was employed as a doorman and guard at the bank's branch, Bank-e-Shahi, later Imperial Bank of Persia, in Bombay. Jajal was Hindu at the time. Since the bank mainly dealt with Muslim businessmen, management advised Jajal to become a Muslim, which he did. From that time on, he called himself Hamed. After Hamed was killed in conflicts between Muslims and Hindus, his son Ahmad, the grandfather of Khomeini, took over the post at the Imperial Bank of Persia, former Bank-e-Shahi. From Bombay, he was transferred to the Bushehr branch and later to Najaf. In Najaf, Ahmad Hindi, the grandfather of Khomeini, left the Imperial Bank and became the bodyguard of Mirza Muhammad Hassan Shirazi. In 1839, Ahmad Mousavi Hindi bought land in Khomein, a village in Iran, and soon belonged to the wealthy landowners. His grandfather, Sayyid Ahmad Mousavi, was Ruhollah Khomeini's grandfather. As Sayyid and thus direct descendant of the Prophet, the family name was traced back to the 7th Imam. The grandfather is said to have come from Najaf in Iraq and then moved to Khomeini. He is said to have come from India, hence the original name Ahmad Musavi Hendi. Ahmad Musavi Hendi, the grandfather of Khomeini, is said to have been born in 1800 in Kintur in India, studied with Mir Hamed Hossein Hendi Nashaburi, a teacher famous at the time, and moved to Najaf in Iraq where he died. His father, Sayyid Mustafa Musavi, was Ruhollah Khomeini's father. Mustafa Musavi studied Islamic theology in Isfahan in Iran, Najaf and Samarra in Iraq, there under Muhammad Hassan Shirazi, and is said to have acquired the religious title of Mushtahid with Hajiye Aga Khanum, the daughter of Mirza Ahmad Moshtahadeh Khonsari. He had 6 children, 3 girls and 3 sons. After the birth of the first daughter, the family is said to have moved from Najaf to Khomeini. Through name changes by Khomeini himself and one of his older brothers, the following came to light. Sayyid Ruhollah Hendi, meaning Ayatollah Khomeini, changes first to Mostafavi and then to Khomeini. His brother Morteza Hendi changes to Ayatollah Morteza Pasandideh. His older brother remains as Sayyid Noreddin Hendi. Here are some examples from Khomeini's perverse rules of life. In one of Ayatollah Khomeini's books entitled Tahrir al-Wasile, page 430, paragraph 12, Ayatollah Khomeini mentions that a man may have sex with female babies between their legs without penetrating them. A very close friend of Ayatollah Khomeini named Alahme Sayyed Hussein Masavi also described in one of his books entitled Kashfol Asrar, paragraph 15, pages 35 to 37, how he witnessed the sexual relationship between Ayatollah Khomeini and a 4 or 5-year-old girl, daughter of a host family. Ayatollah Khomeini, the man with many faces. Although Ayatollah Khomeini from the beginning did not recognize the existence of Israel and was anti-Semitic, in order to be able to finance the weapons for his long war with Iraq, he sold Iranian oil to Israel through a Swiss company via a Jewish American. Still today, many artists in Iran, such as musicians, singers, filmmakers, and actors, are not allowed to carry out their activities.